Imagine waking up one day with a sudden, terrifying realization that the comfortable life you've built, the predictable routines, the safe choices, the familiar patterns, might actually be the very thing slowly killing your potential. That every time you chose comfort over growth, you weren't protecting yourself. You were imprisoning yourself. Think about it right now, in this very moment. How much of your life is dictated by the need to stay comfortable? How many dreams have you abandoned because they felt too uncertain? How many risks have you avoided because staying where you were just felt safer? Today, we're going to explore one of the most deceptive traps of modern existence, the comfort trap. And I'm warning you, what you're about to discover will make you question everything about the way you've been living. Because comfort isn't just a preference. It's a silent addiction that has convinced you that safety equals happiness, that familiar equals fulfilling, that easy equals meaningful. But here's the truth. Comfort is a liar. Most people spend their entire lives chasing comfort. They work jobs they hate to afford lives that numb them. They stay in relationships that have lost meaning because being alone feels scarier. They avoid difficult conversations, hide from challenges, and settle for mediocrity, all in the name of comfort. And they tell themselves they're being smart, being responsible, being realistic. But deep down, there's a voice, a quiet, persistent whisper that says, there has to be more. Carl Jung once said, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek." But most people never enter that cave. They stand at the entrance, looking into the darkness, feeling the fear, and they turn around. They go back to what's familiar, what's comfortable, what's safe. And in doing so, they abandon the very thing that could transform their lives. Stay with me, because what we're about to uncover will show you exactly how comfort has been stealing your life, and more importantly, how you can break free before it's too late. Let's start with a simple question. When did comfort become the enemy? It wasn't always this way. Comfort, in itself, is not inherently bad. Having a warm bed to sleep in, food to eat, shelter from the elements, these are fundamental human needs. But somewhere along the way, we crossed a line. We went from seeking basic comfort to worshiping it. We went from using comfort as a foundation to using it as a ceiling. Think about our ancestors. They lived in constant uncertainty. They faced predators, harsh weather, scarcity of food. Every single day was a battle for survival. And because of that, they were sharp. They were resilient. They were alive in a way that most of us have never experienced. But we live in an age of unprecedented comfort. We have heating and air conditioning. We have endless food options delivered to our doors. We have entertainment at our fingertips. We have technology that eliminates almost every inconvenience. And yet, despite all this comfort, depression, anxiety, and a sense of emptiness are at an all-time high. Why? Because human beings were not designed for constant comfort. We were designed for challenge, for growth, for struggle. Our ancestors didn't just survive hardship. They thrived because of it. Their bodies adapted, their minds sharpened, their spirits strengthened. But what happens when you remove all struggle? When you eliminate all discomfort? When you optimize every aspect of life for ease? You don't create happiness. You create stagnation. Here's where it gets interesting. Your brain is wired to seek comfort. It's a survival mechanism. When you experience something unpleasant, your brain says, avoid this. When you experience something pleasant, your brain says, more of this. And in a world where survival was difficult, this made sense. But in a world where comfort is abundant, this mechanism becomes a trap. Because now your brain isn't protecting you from real danger. It's protecting you from growth. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have a dream. Maybe you want to start a business, write a book, travel the world, learn a new skill. But every time you think about it, you feel resistance. You feel fear. You feel uncertainty. And what does your brain do? It floods you with reasons to stay where you are. It's too risky. You're not ready. What if you fail? What if people judge you? And so you stay in your comfort zone. You tell yourself, maybe next year. Maybe when things are more stable. Maybe when you have more money, more time, more confidence. But here's the brutal truth. That moment never comes. Because comfort is an endless loop. The more you choose it, the more you need it. The more you avoid discomfort, the more sensitive you become to it. You build a smaller and smaller world around yourself, a bubble of predictability and false security. And before you know it, years have passed, and you look back and realize you've been living on autopilot, going through the motions, playing it safe. And somewhere deep inside, there's a part of you that knows you were made for more. This is the seduction of comfort. It doesn't announce itself as your enemy. It disguises itself as your friend. It whispers, "Take it easy. You've worked hard. You deserve to relax. Why make things harder for yourself?" And slowly, day by day, choice by choice, you trade your potential for temporary ease. You trade growth for stagnation. You trade the life you could have had for the life that felt safest. And the worst part? You don't even realize it's happening until it's too late. But what if I told you that the discomfort you've been avoiding is not your enemy? What if I told you that on the other side of that fear, that uncertainty, that struggle, lies the very thing you've been searching for? Because comfort doesn't just limit your potential, it numbs your soul. And in the next part, we're going to explore exactly how this happens and why the price of comfort is far greater than you ever imagined. Let's talk about what comfort truly costs you. Because the price isn't always obvious. It doesn't show up as a bill or a transaction. It shows up in far more subtle and devastating ways. It shows up in the slow erosion of your spirit, the gradual dimming of your inner fire, the quiet resignation to a life that feels safe but empty. The first cost of comfort is growth. You cannot grow and stay comfortable at the same time. These two things are fundamentally incompatible. Growth requires stepping into the unknown, facing challenges, making mistakes, and enduring discomfort. But comfort demands the opposite. It demands predictability, security, and ease. So every time you choose comfort, you are choosing not to grow. Think about the gym. If you want to build muscle, you have to lift weights that challenge you. You have to push past the point of comfort. You have to embrace the burn, the fatigue, the soreness, because that's where growth happens. But if you only lift weights that feel easy, if you avoid the discomfort, you will never get stronger. Your body will stay exactly the same. And the same principle applies to every area of your life. Your career, your relationships, your mindset, your skills. If you're not challenging yourself, you're not growing. You're just maintaining. And eventually, even maintenance becomes decline. The second cost of comfort is purpose. Here's something most people don't realize. Your sense of purpose is directly tied to your willingness to endure discomfort. Purpose is not something you find in ease. It's something you forge through struggle, through perseverance, through the willingness to do hard things even when you don't feel like it. Look at anyone who has lived a meaningful life. They didn't get there by playing it safe. They got there by taking risks, by facing fears, by stepping into uncertainty. Viktor Frankl survived the horrors of a concentration camp and emerged with a profound understanding of human purpose. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison and came out as a symbol of resilience and forgiveness. Every great artist, athlete, entrepreneur, or leader has had to face discomfort and push through it, because that's where meaning is found. But when you prioritize comfort above all else, you disconnect from purpose. You start making decisions based on what's easy, not what's meaningful. You choose the path of least resistance. And over time, you lose touch with what truly matters. You become a passive observer of your own life, going through the motions, but never fully engaged, never fully alive. The third cost of comfort is authenticity. When you live in pursuit of comfort, you start making compromises. You start hiding parts of yourself to avoid conflict. You start saying yes when you mean no. You start pretending to be someone you're not, because being real feels too risky. You worry about what people will think, about being judged, about being rejected. So you wear a mask. You play a role. You live according to expectations rather than your own truth. And here's the tragedy. The more you do this, the more disconnected you become from yourself. You start to forget who you really are. You start to lose touch with your own voice, your own desires, your own values. You become a stranger to yourself, living a life that looks acceptable on the outside but feels hollow on the inside. Carl Jung called this the persona, the mask we wear to fit into society. And while the persona serves a purpose, the danger comes when we identify with it so completely that we forget it's just a mask. When comfort becomes more important than authenticity, we sacrifice our true selves for the approval of others. And in doing so, we lose the very thing that makes life worth living. And then there's the fourth cost of comfort: regret. One day, you will look back on your life and you will ask yourself, did I live fully? Did I take the chances that mattered? Did I pursue the things that called to me? Or did I play it safe? Did I let fear hold me back? Did I choose comfort over courage? The sad reality is that most people reach the end of their lives filled with regret. Not because of the things they did, but because of the things they didn't do. They regret the risks they didn't take, the dreams they didn't chase, the words they didn't say, the life they didn't live, because they were too afraid to step outside their comfort zone. Bronnie Ware, a palliative care nurse who spent years with dying patients, wrote about the top 5 regrets of the dying. And the number 1 regret was this: I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Not the comfortable life, not the safe life, but the true life. And that's the ultimate cost of comfort. It robs you of the chance to live authentically, boldly, and fully. So now you have to ask yourself, what is comfort costing you? What dreams are you delaying? What potential are you suppressing? What life are you not living because staying comfortable feels easier? And here's the most important question: are you willing to pay that price forever? Or are you ready to break free? Because in the next part, we're going to dive into the psychology of why we cling to comfort even when we know it's harming us. And once you understand this, everything changes. If comfort is so limiting, if it steals growth, purpose, authenticity, and leaves us with regret, then why do we cling to it so desperately? Why is it so hard to break free? The answer lies in the deepest parts of our psychology, in the primal wiring of our brains, and in the fears that have been programmed into us since childhood. Let's start with the most fundamental truth. Your brain is designed to keep you alive, not to make you happy. Survival has always been the brain's primary objective. And for most of human history, survival meant avoiding danger, conserving energy, and sticking to what was familiar. If your ancestors saw a new type of plant, they didn't just eat it because it looked interesting. They avoided it because it could be poisonous. If they heard a strange sound in the dark, they didn't investigate. They ran because it could be a predator. This is called the negativity bias, and it's hardwired into your brain. Your brain is constantly scanning for threats, constantly looking for what could go wrong, constantly pulling you back toward safety. And in ancient times, this kept humans alive. But in the modern world, this same mechanism keeps you trapped. Because now the threats aren't predators or poisonous plants. They're uncertainty, rejection, failure, discomfort. And your brain treats them the same way it treats a life or death situation. So when you think about starting that business, your brain says, danger. What if you lose money? What if you fail? What if people think you're foolish? When you think about ending a relationship that no longer serves you, your brain says, danger. What if you end up alone? What if you regret it? What if no one else loves you? When you think about speaking your truth, your brain says, danger. What if people judge you? What if they reject you? What if you're wrong? And so you stay where you are, not because it's fulfilling, but because it feels safe. But here's the paradox. The things your brain perceives as threats are often the very things that lead to growth. The discomfort you avoid is where transformation happens. The uncertainty you fear is where opportunity lives. The risks you refuse to take are the ones that could change your life. And yet, your brain keeps pulling you back, convincing you that staying comfortable is the smart choice. Now let's add another layer: conditioning. From the moment you were born, you were taught to seek approval, to follow the rules, to fit in. You were rewarded for obedience and punished for rebellion. You were told to be realistic, to play it safe, to not take unnecessary risks. And over time, these messages became beliefs. Beliefs that shaped the way you see yourself and the world. Think about it. When you were a child and you wanted to do something bold, something different, what did the adults around you say? Be careful. Don't get your hopes up. What if it doesn't work out? And slowly, you learned that safety was more valuable than adventure. That comfort was more important than exploration. That fitting in was better than standing out. And then there's fear. Fear is one of the most powerful forces in human psychology, and it comes in many forms. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown, fear of not being good enough. And all of these fears have one thing in common. They keep you locked in place. They convince you that the risk is too great, that the discomfort is too much, that staying where you are is the only rational choice. But here's what most people don't realize. Fear is not the problem. The problem is how we respond to it. Most people see fear as a stop sign, as a warning that says, turn back, don't go any further. This is dangerous. But what if fear is actually a compass? What if fear is pointing you toward exactly where you need to go? Think about it. The things that scare you the most are often the things that matter the most. You're not afraid of things you don't care about. You're afraid of the things that have the potential to change your life. You're afraid of starting a business because deep down you know it could be the thing that gives your life meaning. You're afraid of ending a toxic relationship because you know that doing so would require you to face yourself. You're afraid of speaking your truth because you know that it could set you free. So fear is not the enemy. Fear is information. It's your subconscious mind telling you, this matters. This is important. This could change everything. And instead of running from fear, what if you leaned into it? What if you used it as a guide? What if every time you felt fear, you asked yourself, what is this trying to teach me? And finally, there's the trap of identity. Most people don't just stay comfortable because of fear or conditioning. They stay comfortable because they've built their entire identity around it. They see themselves as someone who plays it safe, someone who avoids risk, someone who doesn't rock the boat. And the moment you identify with a label, it becomes a prison. Because now you're not just choosing comfort. You're defending it. You're justifying it. You're convincing yourself that this is just who you are. But here's the truth. You are not your past. You are not your fears. You are not the labels you've been given. You are a being of infinite potential, capable of change, growth, and transformation at any moment. And the moment you stop clinging to old identities, the moment you stop letting fear dictate your choices, the moment you stop choosing comfort over growth, everything shifts. Because the real question is not, why do we cling to comfort? The real question is, what becomes possible when we let it go? And in the next part, we're going to explore exactly that. The transformation that happens when you finally step outside your comfort zone. And what you're about to discover will change everything. So what happens when you finally make the decision to step outside your comfort zone? What changes when you stop playing it safe and start embracing discomfort? The answer is everything. Your entire reality shifts. Not overnight, not without struggle, but gradually, inevitably, undeniably. The first thing that happens is you remember what it feels like to be alive. Think about the last time you did something that truly challenged you. Something that made your heart race. Something that forced you to dig deep and find strength you didn't know you had. How did you feel afterward? Exhausted, yes. Maybe even scared, but also alive. Energized. Awake. When you live in comfort for too long, you become numb. You go through the motions, but you don't really feel anything. There's no excitement, no passion, no sense of aliveness. You're not living. You're just existing. But the moment you step into discomfort, the moment you face a challenge, the moment you take a risk, something inside you wakes up. Your senses sharpen. Your focus intensifies. Your energy returns. Because challenge brings clarity. It reminds you that you're capable, that you're stronger than you thought, that you have power you forgot you had. And suddenly, the world doesn't feel so dull anymore. Suddenly, life feels full of possibility. The second thing that happens is you discover who you really are. Comfort allows you to hide. It allows you to avoid the deeper questions. It allows you to distract yourself from the truth of who you are. But discomfort strips all of that away. When you're forced to face a challenge, when you're pushed beyond your limits, when you have to make hard decisions, you see yourself clearly. You see your fears, your insecurities, your weaknesses, but you also see your courage, your resilience, your strength. You discover that you're capable of far more than you believed. You learn what truly matters to you, what you're willing to fight for, what you're not willing to compromise on. And in that discovery, you find authenticity. The third thing that happens is you stop seeking validation from others. When you're living in comfort, you're constantly looking outside yourself for approval. You're asking, does this make me look good? Will people respect me? What will they think? But when you step into discomfort, when you take risks that matter to you, when you pursue goals that align with your values, you stop caring about external validation. Because you're no longer living for anyone else. You're living for yourself. You realize that the opinions of others are just noise, that their approval or disapproval has no bearing on your worth, that the only validation you need is the one you give yourself. And this shift is liberating, because suddenly you're free. Free to make choices based on what feels right to you. Free to pursue dreams that others don't understand. Free to live on your own terms. The fourth thing that happens is you build unshakable confidence, but not the fake, surface-level confidence that comes from pretending to have it all together. The deep-rooted confidence that comes from knowing you can handle whatever life throws at you, because you've already proven it to yourself. Every time you face discomfort and push through it, you're sending a message to your subconscious mind. I am capable. I am strong. I can do hard things. And over time, that message becomes your reality. You stop doubting yourself. You stop second-guessing every decision. You stop waiting for permission. And you start trusting yourself in a way you never have before. And that trust, that self-belief, becomes the foundation for everything else you do. And here's the most powerful transformation of all. You stop waiting for life to happen, and you start creating it. Most people spend their lives reacting. They wait for opportunities to come to them. They wait for circumstances to be perfect. They wait for someone else to give them permission. But when you break free from comfort, you realize that you don't have to wait. You have the power to create the life you want right now. You stop making excuses. You stop blaming circumstances. You stop waiting for the right moment, because you understand that the right moment is now. You take action even when you're scared, even when you don't have all the answers, even when success is not guaranteed, because you'd rather fail trying than succeed at playing it safe. But let me be clear, breaking free from comfort is not a one-time event. It's not something you do once and then you're done. It's a continual process, a daily choice, a commitment to growth over ease. And there will be moments when you want to retreat, when the discomfort feels too much, when the fear feels overwhelming. And in those moments, you have to remind yourself why you started. You have to reconnect with the vision of who you're becoming. You have to choose courage over comfort again and again and again. Because here's the ultimate truth. The life you want, the person you want to become, the dreams you want to achieve, they all live on the other side of discomfort. And the only way to get there is to walk through it. So the question is, are you ready? Are you ready to let go of the illusion of safety? Are you ready to face the unknown? Are you ready to become who you were truly meant to be? Because what comes next is the final piece. The one insight that will tie everything together and give you the roadmap to break free once and for all. We've journeyed through the seduction of comfort, the hidden costs, the psychological traps, and the transformation that awaits on the other side. But now we arrive at the most important moment of all, the choice. Because everything we've discussed means nothing if you don't act on it. Here's the reality. You are standing at a crossroads. In one direction lies the familiar path, the comfortable path, the safe path. It's the life you've been living, the routines you've settled into, the excuses you've been making. And if you continue down that path, You already know where it leads. More of the same. Years passing by, dreams fading, potential unrealized, and one day, regret. But in the other direction lies the unknown, the uncomfortable, the uncertain. And yes, the terrifying. It's the path of growth, of challenge, of becoming. And while you can't see exactly where it leads, you know deep down that it's the path you're meant to take. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But here's the catch. Becoming who you truly are requires you to let go of who you've been pretending to be. It requires you to release the comfort that's been holding you back, the identities that no longer serve you, the fears that have kept you small. And I know that's not easy. I know that stepping into the unknown feels like stepping off a cliff. I know that choosing discomfort over comfort goes against every instinct you have. But here's what I also know. On the other side of that cliff is not a fall. It's flight. So here's what I want you to do right now. Think about one area of your life where you've been choosing comfort over growth. Maybe it's your career. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's your health, your creativity, your voice. Whatever it is, identify it. And then ask yourself, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? Maybe you'd have that difficult conversation. Maybe you'd quit that job that's draining you. Maybe you'd start that project you've been putting off. Maybe you'd set a boundary. Maybe you'd take that trip. Maybe you'd speak your truth. Whatever it is, you know what it is. Because it's the thing that makes your heart race just thinking about it. And here's your challenge. Take one small step toward it today. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. Because action is the antidote to fear. Action is what transforms intention into reality. Action is what separates the people who dream from the people who live. Remember, comfort is not your friend. It's a trap disguised as safety. And the longer you stay in it, the harder it becomes to leave. But you have the power to break free right now, in this moment. You have the power to choose growth over stagnation, courage over fear, purpose over comfort. Your life is not meant to be a slow, comfortable decline toward regret. It's meant to be an adventure, a journey of discovery, a constant evolution into the fullest expression of who you are. But that life doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who act, to those who face their fears, to those who choose discomfort over ease. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Years from now, when you look back on your life, you won't remember the days you played it safe. You won't remember the times you chose comfort. You'll remember the moments you took a risk, the times you faced your fear, the days you chose to become more than you were. And the only question that will matter is, did I live fully? Did I become who I was meant to be? Or did I let comfort steal my life? The choice is yours, and it always has been. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you love the content, and share to a person who needs to hear this.